Yo, what's up guys? This is Rise and welcome to another video. This is a Fossil Cup team that I found a lot of success with the past couple of days, and I think Ferrothorn might be the strongest Pokemon in the Fossil Cup, not because it will just catch you a lot of good leads against things like Lantern, against things like Mantine, but because with a team like this, if you lure out certain Pokemon, you can get a head start on energy with Ferrothorn. And one of its top counters in this meta, is Poliwrath. And with energy advantage, Ferrothorn can threaten shields or knock out Poliwrath with that Power Whip coverage. So Ferrothorn, as the official pronunciation calls it, Ferrothorn, as we're going to call it here in this video, is a force to be reckoned with in the Fossil Cup. You see us starting at 3163. We are currently in the high 3200s after running this team for a couple days. And we start off with the mirror match, of course. And if you guys decide to run this team for yourselves, of course, you just want to stay in here. I think this is a positive lead in the aspect that Lantern is avoiding the opposing Ferrothorn. Of course, this is a bit of an annoying matchup because it takes quite a while. You do want to go for the Thunder, right? Might seem obvious for a lot of you watching, but remember, Power Whip is double resisted by that Grass Steel typing. Thunder is only single resisted because it hits neutral against Steel, resisted by Grass. So Thunder is the more efficient mode of damage here. We're both throwing Thunder at each other. Back and forth, back and forth. Bullet Seeds doing basically nothing. Those are double resisted with that Grass typing, and the Thunder connects. Now, here after the Thunder, I could try to like quick swap into Poliwrath to get the counter down, but I elect not to. And the reason is I don't want to get hard punished by something like a Jellicent. I don't want to just give him switch so easily. So what I actually elect to do is let Ferro go down knowing I lose CMP. And then I come in with Lantern. I actually get a 5 spark head start for whatever comes in. And Poliwrath comes in. And we're presuming that once the Ferrothorn is gone, that's got to be his best Lantern answer, right? So he's forced to come in with a Shadow Poliwrath. We're able to bait Surf, which is pretty nice. I try to go for like a catch on maybe a move, but there's the Jelly. So this is looking pretty awkward, right? We are locked in a terrible matchup here. Wrath against Jelly. Icy Wind coming through. That opposing Poliwrath stored a bunch of energy. We are up a shield, so the game's not over yet. We still have a very healthy Lantern. We shield the Shadow Ball. We're going to go for another Icy Wind here. Going to keep on debuffing this Jellicent. Going to try and maneuver around. Try and find the win condition here. They're not really threatened to shield anything from our Poliwrath. At this point, I need to save a shield for the energy that opposing Poliwrath has, so I'm going to take this move. And I'm going to look to pivot out right away. And then I go for the Thunderbolts here, making them make a decision. Do they use their last shield? Do they let Jelly go? They let Jelly go, and Jelly's out of the picture. They come in Wrath, and they actually surrender. I thought that might have been premature, but my guess is they probably weren't running Dynamic Punch. They probably were running like Pup, Icy Wind. So they probably felt like it was over at that point. G to the G. Pelipper is the next trainer, the next Pokemon we see in the lead. We're going to build up to the Thunder, and we're going to go for it because I've seen a lot of people try to call this bait, but they shielded, unfortunately, because it's like, I don't know, most people are going to bait there because the thought process, right, is they almost have to shield. They have to respect it. So with 2 shields in play, a lot of people are going to go for the Power Whip bait, but they're able to correctly shield the Thunder. They actually just shield the Power Whip that time, which kind of surprised me. Now, I'm really weighing my options here. Do I want to bother shielding? Do I just let this go? I decided to let it go so I can come in with Lantern. And they swap out, and I am perfectly comfortable just staying in here, especially with a Pelipper lead, right? We know they have to have some sort of Lantern check in the back. So we are just super comfortable staying in here in a Lantern mirror match, especially ahead of Spark. This is perfect for us. This is absolutely perfect. Thunderbolt connects. Totally fine. Totally cool. Hoping that we can knock out this opposing Lantern before they reach another Thunderbolt. I think they're still 1 spark away. They're at 7. So I know this is just a Surf. I know I have no reason to really shield this. And I'm going to get ready to pivot right away. Expecting Pelipper's not going to come in. So what's going to be in the back? It is Ferrothorn. This is really good for us. We are, of course, going to shield up this Power Whip. And then check out one small thing, but actually makes a huge difference here in the end game. Pelipper comes in. We go for the dynamic punch. This is resisted, but because it's such a strong move with same type attack bonus, it does a little bit more raw damage, gives us the counter down. If we went for the icy wind, I don't know. Pelipper maybe gets off the hurricane. Maybe somehow we lose, but we went for the harder hitting move, knocked out Pelipper, and then we get to the dynamic punch against the Ferrothorn. G to the G. Nice little win there. And on to the next battle. Oh, I queued in with the wrong team, it looks like. And, dude, when I queue in with the wrong team, it always puts me in with the wrong team. So I have to, like, restart my app. I have to, like, restart my app to make sure it doesn't do that. So we restart the app. We're back in with the right team. SCAV lead, pretty bad. We're going to safe swap Wrath, met by Ludicolo. This is terrible. Now, I have lost to a lot of Ludicolo counter swaps, so I've learned how to play this the best way, and I've learned it's to Icy Wind immediately, and this way you put it into like a massive Bullet Seed down range. We're going to have to take 2 Scalds here, which is not going to be fun, but we're going to come out with like 100 energy. They also debuff us, not great. But here's the thing, with regular Poliwrath, even if you go for Dynamic Punch, it's not going to be enough to knock out Ludicolo. You're just going to give yourself less farm, and you're not going to debuff them either. So we take 2 Scalds, but we come out with 100 energy. I'm going to throw the Thunder to chip at this S-Cavalier, and we're hoping Lantern has a lot of play against the remaining Pokemon. S-Cav is at 2 counters, 3 counters, so we want to keep track of that. And it's an opposing Lantern in the back. I'm going to go straight for the Thunderbolt here. We're up a little bit of energy. Could potentially go for a bait here, but we go for the Thunderbolt. They shield. Nice shield call by them. I'm really debating because he is behind a few sparks, so I'm wondering if he's going to bait me, but I do decide to shield, and luckily we call it correctly. That's big. Going for a Thunderbolt ahead, so we're still ahead a few sparks. Thunderbolt lands this time. That's really nice. And we are going to shield this move. It's another Thunderbolt. That's big. Once again, we're ahead a little bit. Go for the Surf. I'm hoping Surf is enough to knock out from this range if it connects. And it is. That's big. And now I'm going to get to this Surf just before they get to a drill run. Excuse me. Surf grabs the final shield. He's expecting the catch. I catch as I get to the Surf. And I'm close to the Power Whip. This is a drill run. It knocks out, and he's not at 2 yet. So we are going to win this game. One of our craziest wins, probably, of this Fossil Cup. As we led Pharaoh into S-Cav. We met Razor Leaf Ludicolo into Poliwrath. And it was Lantern Mirren back. We were able to win. Obviously, our opponent did still have a win condition there. If they undercharged on the Ferrothorn, I think they only needed 1 more counter to get to another drill run, so an undercharge could have still won them the game there in the end. But to their credit, like if they undercharge too much, like maybe we get to a move. So who knows? Here we are against Golisopod. Lantern is pretty good here, but like Golisopod makes this uncomfortable for sure. Golisopod makes this uncomfortable, as you see. We double up on Surf. I'm hoping Surf knocks out if it goes through. Surf doesn't quite knock out, but we still are able to retain switch advantage. In comes Quagsire. We have multiple answers for the Quagsire, so we don't necessarily need switch. And unfortunately, I'm not going to get to this next Surf. So Quag gets a big amount of energy, which isn't great, to be honest, because we've been chipped with our Ferrothorn. Suddenly, this Quag is kind of looking menacing. Yeah, they're going to throw the Mud Bomb. You could argue maybe I should have just thrown that Power Whip immediately. They tried to go for the catch, and it's a Bronzong, or LeBronzong, as we like to call it. We go for the Thunder. They shield, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing, these confusions are going to be bad for my Poly. So I go for another Thunder here. This lands, which is some nice damage, and now it's all up to Poliwrath. I have to shield. I have to respect the potential Psy Shock here. And I'm kind of debating what the win condition is, and I decide I think I'm going to double shield and try to just farm up as much energy as possible for that Quagsire. The awkward thing is Quagsire's still very healthy. I don't know if it's quite in Dynamic Punch range. It's in the green. Dynamic Punch coming through. Connects. Next counter connects. This is going to knock us out, of course. But all we need is one Bullet Seed, and Ferrothorn is not in one Bullet Seed or one Mud Shot range. So we're able to win that game there. GG. Bye, bye, bye. The next guy. Ferrothorn versus Mantine. Ferrothorn with that access to Thunder. They're going to go for a charge attack here. Aerial Ace connects. And we're going to go for the Power Whip bait here. We saw last time we went for the Thunder against Pelipper. They shielded it. This time we go for the bait. They call it, of course. Rise making all the wrong calls. Unfortunate. And then I get just like too overzealous here. And you're going to see how much this costs me. By me getting overzealous and going for that Power Whip right away and giving him a free wing attack through, I think that's the difference in allowing him to get to this. And then I'm forced to shield to get swap here. And now what's going to come in? It's Whiscash. I'm like, what on earth? Whiscash? What is this? What is this shenanigans? Whiscash comes in. And then I make a decision here. They throw. I'm like, you know what? I want to get shields down because now I'm thinking it's probably double Mud Boy. That's my thought process now. It's if Whiscash is what came in to greet my Ferrothorn, it's probably Quagsire. It's probably double Mud Boy. So I shield simply to get his final shield. And now I'm going to come in Poly. And because it's non-shadow versus non-shadow, I know I can take 2 Mud Bombs here. So that's what I'm thinking. And if I can take this out and maybe land a move on Quag, then Lantern should be able to close out by landing a Surf. That's kind of my plan here. I'm going to go for the Dynamic Punch. Dynamic Punch knocks out Whiscash, and we were correct. It is the Quag. They're normally running Mud Bomb, so I try to catch on 5. He doesn't fall for it, but we do have the Icy Wind bank, so I'm hoping all we need here is to land Surf plus Icy Wind, and we can win this game. He likes to overfarm rather than throw the double Mud Bomb, because he's thinking if he throws right away, I simply can win with Dynamic Punch. So he's hoping he can double up and then throw a move here at both of my Pokemon for his win condition. But I have the Icy Wind. It's a charge attack priority. Icy Wind coming through. And this is going to knock out Quagsire, winning us the game. G to the G. Man, we misplayed that lead. That was pretty frustrating. But we still were able to win in the end. And collect a 5-0 set here. Phalanx is our little reward. Phalanx, get in that Pokeball. And let's see how much elo we climb from that 5-0. 3244, very solid. Very nice elo there, and it's straight into the next set. Set number 2. Looking for that next opponent. It seems like people... I mean, some people are probably enjoying the Fossil Cup, but it seems like some of my buddies, Axon, especially, not enjoying the Fossil Cup. Definitely some like RPS, rock, paper, scissors, if you're not unfamiliar with that term. Triangles. We see the Pelipper here. And once again, let's see how we decide to play this. So first time we went for Thunder, they shielded. Second time we went for Power Whip, they called it. Third time we're going to try and bait again. And this time they call it. So we're 0 for 3. We're 0 for 3. The one time we went for Thunder, they shielded. And then our 2 Power Whips, they've called it. So we are 0 for 3 on our decisions in this matchup. Going to go for the Power Whip here. And we get the shield that time from the Power Whip. I get like denied there because I tried to like wait a turn and catch. But I guess I like misclicked or something, so that was kind of annoying. This is only a Weather Ball, so this isn't too bad. I can take this, but me getting denied that Bullet Seed actually is the difference in me taking that Weather Ball, which is pretty annoying. And this is actually terrible for my back line. And I can't afford for him to like farm me down, right? So I'm forced to swap, and then they read the instant swap, and now we just lose. Now we just lose. This is like my Hail Mary play. For some reason they let this go, but they shield it, and now the game's just over. Now the game's just over, unfortunately. Dynamic Punch goes through. We're going to go for a big Spark down here. Shadow Poliwrath's going to fire off a Dynamic Punch, most likely going to put our Lantern pretty low. And unfortunately, Lantern is so low from that Dynamic Punch, we are now into like a Bullet Seed down range. And I will tell you guys, pretty dominant loss for us. Opponent destroyed us. 10 battles in this video. 1 loss in this video. I got 1 GG message in the chat. Guess which game it was? This game where I got dominated. This was the one game where I got GG'd in the chat. What a good game. What a good game it was. Amazing game. Ferrothorn into Golisopod. And it's on to the next one. No, but good game there. Nice call by them, calling the Power Whip bait on the Pelipper. That was probably the difference in the game. And then Golisopod is a really solid, unique pick in this meta because it's really safe. It's a really safe Pokemon in general. Does well against Pharaoh, does well against Poly, does decent against Lantern, especially since the Spark nerf, right? Does not do bad at all against Lantern. I think I get lucky here. I'm not sure if I was supposed to get off this power. That looked like damage registration error. So definitely a bit fortunate to get off that move. Lantern comes in, going to eat a move here, but that's totally fine. I'm expecting him to have like Lantern coverage in the back, so that's why I'm just kind of coming in with it here to try and save shields for Poliwrath. What's going to come in? It's going to be Lucario, and they're staying, which catches me off guard, so I'm going to respect a potential Thunder Punch here. Do they bait me with Power Up Punch? That's not ideal. Then they come in Lantern. I'm surprised they didn't just swap Lantern right away. We go for the Dynamic Punch here. Dynamic Punch connects. That's big. And now another move coming through from Lance. It's the Surf. We get baited. Unfortunate there. I go for the Icy. And this was also kind of dumb, I think. I think in my head, I was like thinking the Spark down could let me get to 2 Surfs before Lucario could actually bank the Poliwrath, so that way I get 1 counter in the end. And it appears, if I remember what happens here correctly, I throw the Surf and the opponent just lets it go. So the opponent felt like they weren't going to be able to knock out my Lantern before I got to 2 Surfs. I thought it was going to be close, to be honest, but it seems like the opponent felt like Lantern had that, so they just decided not to shield. Opponent tries to catch a move on Registeel unsuccessfully. Registeel here on the counter swap can definitely get a shield advantage from Poliwrath. Zap Cannon would pretty much one-shot us. Such a hard-hitting move. But we are not taking any fast attack pressure. Going to go for the Dynamic Punch. And we have to be aware, right, in this situation. They are super obviously trying to lure out our Poliwrath. Jelly's such a hard answer to Poliwrath. They swap Reggie to lure out. I'm predicting at this point it's Ferrothorn in the back. That's what I'm thinking. It's Ferrothorn in the back. So I may preserve my Poliwrath here, especially because I have 2 answers. So I take the Shadow Ball, and then I combo play here, giving up switch advantage, throwing the Power Whip, in hopes to lure out their Ferrothorn, and that's exactly what happens. So this was a nice example of like making a read and it being exactly correct. We lure out their Ferrothorn, and now we can just stay in this mirror match, and our Lantern avoids this Ferrothorn, and we'll be lined up against the Jellicent in back. So a nice little play where we're giving up switch advantage, but we're actually kind of gaining switch advantage in the way that we want it. So that's pretty nice. I guess like we also could have just stayed in, sacked Poly, and then just come in with Lantern, but I think this way works even better, to be honest, because we are able to keep Poliwrath around to deal with that Ferrothorn. Jelly's even forced to throw energy here because they don't want to get debuffed by the Icy Wind. Then we're just going to come in Lantern. Jelly's got lots of energy, but that's totally fine. And then we still have a little bit of health on our Ferrothorn in the back as well, right? And we still have a shield to hide behind, so I'm perfectly comfortable just letting everything go. Gonna throw this Thunderbolt, just want to get rid of Jelly. And now their opposing Ferrothorn is going to be forced to expend energy to get rid of our Lantern. And at this point, I am just willing to let this go, knowing that they can't Bullet Seed down my Ferrothorn. I can simply save the shield, farm up to a move. Thunder's going to knock out. Power Whip probably would have been enough from here, but we're just going to go for the harder hitting move. Bang, shock, and awe. And a G to the G. I think we got a few more battles left. 2 more battles remaining. This team killing it. We've seen a little bit of a mix, right? Some really solid leads, some tough leads that we've overcome. Really good lead here, especially because we have 2 answers for this. So now, because we have 2 answers for the Quagsire, Poliwrath does quite well in that matchup. We don't necessarily need switch, so I may be content with shield advantage here. I go for the Surf Bait, knowing that worst case scenario, he calls it, which he does, but I can still control this matchup in terms of shield advantage. So I can still get to another Surf no matter what, and he has to expend a shield and go down shields to knock me out here. And now X-Scissor comes through. He is going to be able to flip this, but we're up a shield, and I'm perfectly fine with having Poliwrath lined up with Quagsire. I do not mind that matchup one bit. We get the Bullet Seed, and this is perfect. This is perfect because Poliwrath does not want to see Bronzong. And Ferrothorn is actually a great core breaker to this person's team because it does quite well against both the Quagsire and the Bronzong. So Ferrothorn acting as a great core breaker for us, as certain Pokemon can sometimes be against us. Alolan Sandslash is probably the toughest lead for this team that I've come into contact with, because basically, like, you almost have to safe swap Lantern, and then they can just stay in and control switch advantage. And if they just stay in and then win that matchup, then they have they're always going to have Poliwrath answers in the back. So I have like yet to beat an Alolan Sandslash lead with this team, I think. Maybe once. But yeah, Quagsire enjoyers look away. Bang. One shot with the Power Whip. And Poliwrath gets some load management that game. Shout out Kawhi Leonard. You knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. Last battle of the video. 8-1 with this team. Battle starting. Here we go. Ferro into Lantern. Amazing lead. They swap. Oh, God. Yeah, this is just RPS. I forgot about this. This is where the comments rise. Obviously, you went 9-1. Streamer luck. Hashtag algorithm in your favor. Hashtag if I saw those matchups, I also would have went 9-1. Hashtag. Just kidding. You guys probably don't use that many hashtags. Sometimes you see those Twitter accounts or X accounts that like use too many hashtags. That's like in a social media tip. You don't want to use too many hashtags. It looks bad. You want to clean it up. Use a few here and there. Use them sparingly. If you're like live tweeting along with an event, always nice to like hashtag. But here's the thing. They were definitely trying to lure out our Lantern. So is it like something in the back that's also really weak to Lantern? That could be a little bit of a core breaker. Let's see. We come in with Poly, anticipating the swap, and it's their own Poly. We're ahead of counter, I think, unless we lagged a turn. I just go straight Icy since we're in the 2-shield scenario. I'm not even going to bother building up to the Dynamic Punch because these counters are going to add up so much over time that I'm just going straight Icy Wind. Just getting off raw damage, debuffing as soon as possible. And Icy Wind, gonna grab the second shield. And check out what our opponent does here. I actually like this play. He actually goes for the Dynamic Punch, and you might be thinking, like, why? I'm obviously gonna shield, but that's probably like the only win con at that point, right? Like, somehow land it through my shield. Like, that might have been the only play to actually try and win, so I kind of like that decision. He's going to fight it till the bitter end. 1 HP Lantern, full health Ferrothorn, then top left. G to the G. And that settles a 9-1 run with this team. Fossil Cup definitely up and down. And full disclosure, like, I ran this team for 3 sets, went 5-0, 4-1, 4-1. And then the very next day, I had an 0-5 with this team on stream. And then I ran it off stream for 2 sets, and I literally went 5-0, 4-1. So, like, GBL is a roller coaster. That's what GBL is. It's going to have ups and downs, but overall, this team has been very, very positive for me, even though I did have one 0-5 set with it. So we're getting rid of some items, it looks like. And let's see what elo we wind up at. We catch a Vullaby as our reward. 3277, very nice. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you're new around here, join memberships for custom emotes, emojis, and more. So I think I'll do a special recap stream from Hawaii for members. And also, we have a special thank you members graphic in the works. Right now, it's my own makeshift graphic you'll see at the end right here in a moment. But we've got a special one in the works that will be here in the near future, so stay tuned for that. All that said, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.